In this lesson, we're going to factor a perfect square trinomial. An example of a perfect square trinomial is x squared plus 10x plus 25. Now, what makes that a perfect square? Well, the first term of this trinomial is a perfect square. So we have x squared. The last term of this trinomial is also a perfect square. It's 5 squared. The middle term will be 2 times the product of what is being squared. So it will be 2 times the 5 and the x. That makes it a perfect square trinomial. Now, how do we factor that? Well, first of all, it's going to factor to a binomial squared. The sign in the binomial will be the sign in front of the middle term, so that's a plus sign. Now, the first term in the binomial will be the square of the first term in the trinomial, which will be x. And the second term in the trinomial will be what's being squared in that third term of the trinomial. So that will be the 5. And if you were to FOIL out this binomial, you would get your perfect square trinomial. Another example of a perfect square trinomial is x squared minus 22x plus 121. Now let's see if this is a perfect square. What is exactly being squared here? Well, we're taking x and squaring that. 121 is 11 squared. The sign in front of this third term of the trinomial will always be positive. Check this middle term out. All right, it should be 2 times the product of what's being squared. So it should be 2 times the 11 and then also the x. And does that match up? Yes, it does. So how does this factor? Well, it factors to a binomial squared. The sign in the binomial will be the same as the sign in front of the middle term, so that will be minus. The first term in the binomial is what's being squared in the first term of the trinomial, which here is the x. And then the second term in the binomial is the square of the third term, which is the 11. So that's your simple way of factoring a perfect square trinomial. Let's look at another example. How about 4x squared minus 20x plus 25? All right, let's rewrite this first and third term as what exactly is being squared. So here we'll have 2x is being squared. The last term is 5 being squared. What about the middle term? Well, the middle term will be twice what? The product of the 2x and the 5 for our minus 20x. So how does this factor? It's going to factor to a binomial squared. The sign in the binomial will match the sign in front of the middle term, so that's minus. The first term in the binomial will be the 2x. The second term in the binomial will be the 5. Last example, 9x squared plus 24xy plus 16y squared. All right, now again, we need to rewrite this as what's being squared. So we will have 3x being squared and 4y being squared. This should factor to a binomial, 3x plus 4y. And you check your middle term by taking 3x times 4y and then doubling it, and you'd get your middle term of your trinomial.